Hey, welcome back to Say You Look Tired. I'm Martin.
And I'm Dan.
Yeah, and I thought for this episode, Dan, we always talk about the negativities in teaching because I think it's important to talk about them.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't talk about them, they don't get highlighted, they don't get changed. But we thought we'd like flip it a little bit. This stat, obviously, another stat from Teacher Wellbeing Index is that despite all the pressure, 79% of teachers say that they enjoy teaching most of the time. And I think that's an important stat to have because there's so much burnout in teaching. There's so much anxiety. There's so much overwhelm. But yet, teachers enjoy teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's an important one just to highlight what's good about the job as well.
Absolutely, because it is, even when I was burnt out, there was days when I was in that classroom and I went, this is great. This is so much fun. Like, you know, when children first grasp up, like I'm at the end of the school where children are learning how to read.
Yeah.
So whenever a child's eventually looked at the letters, said the sound that matches and blended it together, I'm like, look at you did. I'm so proud of you. Or like zipping their coat up.
Do you know what?
We have fun.
It's all good that way. And do you know what I actually really liked about teaching as well? Which is probably what I like about what I do now. You were kind of your own boss. You weren't your own boss.
Mm-hmm.
You had loads of structure. You had loads of paperwork. But from 9 till 3, you are left to your own devices. You are. It is kind of like, teach them this.
In you go.
Yeah, now and again, you'll be scrutinized and it'll be absolute hell. But 90% of the time, we'll trust you to get the kids to where they want to be. And I did like that. Like, you did have that full control over not what you were going to teach, but how you were going to teach in most schools anyway.
Yeah, especially before loads of schemes come in. You'd be like, what are we going to do? And I used to love the planning bit of it. I used to sit in PPA. My PPA was on a Friday for years. Friday afternoon.
That's a dangerous time, I think, though, to have a PPA, because I had that for a while. And my mentality would be, because I'd be tired on a Friday and it'd also be like, yes, I'm going with a mate tonight or whatever. I would be a bit like, I'll just chill here for a bit. Like, I'll do the work on a Sunday.
Yeah, I can see how that would sit. And like my friends and I, we did it together and we were like, right, let's get, but then we got to the point where like, right, see how much we can get done because I wanted Monday to be a lot easier than what it needed to be. But, you know, there's so many happy memories that I do have teaching. And, you know, one of them that just popped into my head as we were doing this topic on castles, queens, kings, castles, blah, blah, blah. And one of the parents, actually, their job was that they ran a bouncy castle hire company. So I was like, could we have one for school? Like, absolutely. So we had that. We had parents making fruit salads. We had children brought in like special little themed lunches, packed lunches that their parents made for them. We had parents in. We were there. And I remember my friend and I getting in the morning and we saw the bouncy castle being inflated. We ran up, jumping up and down. We're like, this is so much fun. And it was just one of those days where they were still learning. Children were still learning. And it was just so much fun. The parents were there. It was so stress-free. And every now and then we still bring it up. We're like, do you remember that day we got the bouncy castle in? Yeah. And we just had the best day. We just laughed our heads off.
That's it, isn't it? There is all those nice memories with teaching and stuff like that. And I think it can get, like the media, and I suppose even social media like we do, it can be really negative on teaching. And there is those boundaries that need to be in place. But like, teaching is a good job. The outside of it may not be, but on this, I think we should just focus on like, it is nice teaching and it is finding that passion again, because loads get that spark just gone, don't they?
Yeah. Especially whenever you're scrutinized, and then you're worried about everything. What would you say would be the favorite thing that you like to teach?
Like a certain subject or just anything. I used to love topic if I could worm it into what I wanted to do. So I remember when I was in year 4, teaching in year 4, there was a topic where we had to pick a country, a South American country. I can't remember what it was for, but it was like something, you know, you had to pick a country from a different continent. But Brazil was hosting the World Cup that year, so that was it. Like, I was like, oh, we're doing that, and just everything's going to be about football. And our topic was basically just, it was called Brazil, but it might have just been, called the World Cup.
Oh, the World Cup.
and we just did it all on football. And I think that was always nice when you had that bit of freedom. All the kids might have not been into football, but I think when the teacher at the front's really passionate about something and really excited, transform to
It
them.
makes such a difference.
I used to love science as well because you could always be creative with it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, you could do science quite boring,
Mm-hmm.
but there was always that way to do experiments, to have fun, to have all the different things, especially when you get into the older ones. Like in year 4 or 5, you could kind of just be like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Don't be idiots to mess about. And we get to do more of this stuff and they'd do it properly.
Yeah.
Do you know, they'd know like, we could be doing some writing here or we could be messing around with some circuits. So we'll mess about with the circuits, but we're not going to, I'd say to them, you know, don't try and put 5 batteries in with one bulb to see whether you can break it. Because if you keep doing
that what would happen? And go, poof.
Yeah, too much power, just break. So they'd go, I'd be like, don't do that. And then you will get to do this more. And they'd be like, oh, okay. Like, if we don't mess about, we get to play.
Yeah, it kept that was the fun bits. Like I liked it. We did basic science, don't we? Like, you know, melting ice, that sort of thing. One of my favorite things to do was we did materials and we were looking at what materials would make a good house. So we read The Three Little Pigs. And then they got sent this letter from one of them saying, right, okay, we are going to ask you to build us a house and it can't be blown down by the wolf. And I brought in my hairdryer and I made a wolf face for the front of it. And the children had to go, they could make houses out of jump modeling, whatever they wanted, no Lego bricks, blocks, whatever. And then they all got tested out to see if they would blow down. And it was so much fun. They were so proud of so proud of themselves. And it just made it fun for them. And I liked cooking. We did a lot of cooking.
Yeah.
Until we had to always buy the stuff ourselves. And then there was a lot less went on. But we did the usual, like at Easter, we made Easter nest, shredded wheat, milk chocolate, little mini eggs in there. And they absolutely loved it. And I'm awful at doing stuff like that. And then like when we were doing like growing plants, I used to love teaching about plants. Space, I love teaching about space. And then there's certain books I like reading at the end of the day. Story time for me, I always make special. I would get like a fire going on the big screen, get them all set down. Okay, let's have a story today. Yeah. And I love doing story time and songs and music.
See, I think it's just when you get into those habits. Like we used to have a rota for the computers. Be like in a drawer, you like big desk thing you pull round and it'd have all the laptops in. But like I would have them in the iPad, I would have them rotas, and you'd have to write your name on the slots when they were free. And I would wait till Monday afternoon, and any slot that wasn't free, I'd just take all of them. And everything. We made so many PowerPoints, we made so many things with research because I was just like, let's use them. But the kids, I think that's another thing with the kids. Maybe not so much in reception because it's a bit harder, but you know, when they get a bit older, you can just reason with them and you can just be like, listen, do you want to keep using these laptops when we're not meant to have them? Do you want to do these experiments? Do you want to do these things? Yeah. If you're not like messing about, then we get to do it. And I think that the more you can do it. And do you know what? I do think when you can be a bit more creative that way, you can be a bit more fun. It also makes teaching so much easier because you're not drained at the end of the day. Because again, a lot of the drain doesn't come from teaching. A lot of my drain would come from lunchtime, playtimes, stuff after, you know, where like stuff's gone on and then you're like, I can't be bothered doing this.
I get bored doing the same thing again and again. Like phonics wise, we used to be able to put music and songs in there, but whenever it comes scheme, you have to do the same thing every day. Yeah. So getting out those letter cards to do the same thing every single day. And I remember this little girl saying to me one time, oh, what's the next bit? Green words. I went, you're right. And I went, are you all bored? Yeah. And I would never want to be seen as like the boring teacher. Yeah. But there's something that just went straight out of my head. That's something I absolutely love doing. Oh, I've always got to do the Christmas nativity. Yeah. And even though it was stressful, you know, you don't know what's going to happen.
Must be that pride at the end, wasn't it? Of like, we did this.
And I was always so proud of them getting up there. And because once they're on, you do not know what's going to happen.
Isn't it weird? Like when you think about it now, I've only just thought about this now, but probably every British actor actress who's ever been, probably the first time they were ever on stage was probably in their reception nativity.
Screaming.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, isn't it? And like some of them don't, I remember one year we were doing the nativity and we hadn't even, because we were that stressed and busy, we hadn't even read the Christmas story yet. They didn't know who Jesus was. They didn't know anything about that. And there we were up there. And then like they've got their little, the little outfits and they're trying to sing the songs and, a shepherd stands up at the wrong time and is like, gold for baby Jesus. No, it's one of the kings. And I'm like, it's only started, so let's calm down. And you have to like do all the dances. I remember and I don't normally get shy, but when the parents are in and then you realize you're doing the dances at the same time as the kids, I'm like, oh my goodness, they must think.
we had one, obviously, I was never the reception teacher, but I remember the reception teacher coming in telling everyone, because they had 2 kids. One, he was like very special needs, like, but like how he did it was sometimes he'd like get fixated on stuff, and he got fixated on the play, so he really wanted to be in it, but because he was so fixated on it, he repeated everyone's lines. So he'd be on the stage and one of them would say, there's no room at the inn, and then you'd hear, there's no room at the inn, can't we stay in the shed? Can't we stay in the shed? So there's that. But then there was another lad who was just a bit of a nightmare. So this isn't the same production.
Oh my, the chaos.
But this lad, he's only 5. And there's a little bit of me which thinks like he played a blinder. So he was always just chaos. There was always chaos. There was always thing. But he really wanted to be in the play. Really wanted to be in the nativity. So like they explained to him, like, we don't think you can be in the nativity because we can't trust you.
You are not trusted.
We can't trust. So he's like, no. And he was so well behaved for like 3 weeks. And then they did 2 performances for the school. And he was perfect. Like you won award. So then they did the one for the parents. And he waited till he was in the middle of the stage where no one could get to him. And then he just pulled his pants to one side and flashed all his bits at all the parents while sticking 2 fingers up.
He knew what he was doing.
At 5, he had that planned out.
Oh my goodness. What happened? Did they get in trouble?
They were just like, and I think they like ran on the stage and got him.
Oh my goodness. No, we never had anything like that happen. Were you in the nativity as a child?
But I think everyone was. I don't think I was anything in it.
I was Joseph.
I don't know. I think I was definitely just like door holder number 4 or whatever. What's that? What have you seen that video of the kid where he's like, I've got a really important part? Have you ever seen that video?
And he's like, I'm the lobster.
Yeah, so we're like,
it's from Love Actually. I'm the 3rd lobster.
No, he's the door holder.
This one, door holder.
It's like a proper kid. He gets in the car. He's like, I've got a great part in the play. Like, what he's like, I'm door holder number 4. But like buzzing.
But we ran out of costumes, so we had to invent characters for the nativity. We had Rudolph in there. It's Christmas. We had Santa. We just put it in for fun. And I was like, come on. And then one year we did like I bought a script and it was called Calamity Christmas or something. And it was country and western themed.
Must be hard because were you 2 for elementary?
Yeah.
Like that must be really hard.
All 60 kids.
60 kids.
They're all there, but they all come in and they're all on at the same time. And some children have like the moving bits.
Yeah.
They have to like stand up and walk. And I would be like rehearsing with them. And I remember my friend at the back of the hall laughing her head off because I was not happy how baby Jesus was being held by Mary. And when this goes out, it won't even be near Christmas. And I was like, you have to hold baby Jesus like this. Come on, I will do the part if you don't want it. And but
do you know what? The most teachers that would just be an empty threat, but I believe that you truly would.
I would. That is at your cut. You are not going to be Mary anymore. We'll choose somebody else. You can do it.
I don't know about you saying I will do it.
Oh, you thought I would do it? Yeah, you're like, other teachers were like, I will take your part and I will play it myself. But you know I would do that. Me sitting in amongst the manger.
But yeah, no, I think it's all that, isn't it? There's all good stuff like that. And it's just that enjoyment of teaching, isn't it? Which I don't think gets talked about enough.
No.
And I think that's the bit of teaching which everyone wants. That's the bit which everyone enjoys. And it kind of shows, doesn't it? Because no one goes into teaching like, oh, I'm going to do this to progress or to get money or to do this. You do it because you enjoy working with kids. Yeah. You've got that little bit of a spark and want to do it. And yet it shows like 79% of teachers still enjoy teaching with all the stress, with all the burnout, with everything else. Like, I don't know about you. Did you ever feel like you were working between 9 and 3? Like, I never really felt like
sometimes, but like sometimes I would catch myself on. I'm like, what are you doing?
No, but I just mean, I never felt like that was a job. But all the stuff before and all the stuff after were a job. I never felt like being in the room with the kids was the job.
No, like, unless I had a class where the behavior wasn't there. But then when you don't feel supported with it, that's when it
becomes
an
drag.
issue. Like, children who would start with me, and I've got them at the start of their school in life.
Yeah.
So there's no special needs plans in place. We sort all that out. But they have to go through like a whole term's worth of evidence of this of going on. There was 2 children, they were standing on tables and throwing things. And initially I was like, okay, this will be fine. And then once I got wore down, I was like, I need help. Someone help me. Especially since I've set the classroom up nicely and like there's someone on the table picking every little thing off and throwing it at me.
Do you know what though? I think with stuff like that as well, sometimes the amount of hoops you have to go through to prove it. And mad, I know it's meant to be a positive episode, but I just want to, I remember we had a nightmare lad in our class, like absolute nightmare. And I said to the TA, I said, listen, this is too much mental capacity for me. Like, I'm trying to deal with it, and then I've got to thingy. You're seeing it as well. When we have these issues, when I'm dealing with them, you're always sitting at the back of the room. Can you just have a book and can you just date it and put what he's done? Just so we've got like massive lists.
Yeah.
And to good on her, she did it. And it was, we just took one of the exercise books. I think in the term, it was like half full. Do you know? And they were only like 2 or 3 lines. Yeah. But then because of that and stuff like that, because there was issues in the school, they've got this like online thing where you'd have to log in.
CPOMs. Maybe it's something else.
Something like that. But so it might have been that where you have to log in, you have to tag like basically like
CPOMs,
tag the child, write the thing, put everything in, and it was like in a day we might have had 7 issues with him. It took her 30 seconds to write that in that book. Why did we have to go through all that? Like, used to take an hour.
It's more difficult.
It made it more difficult. It'd take an hour. And then all that happened is you'd go, is it even worth it? Nothing's getting done from it. And I just think sometimes like, it's that side of teaching which is the killer. It's sometimes the behaviour of others where stuff's not followed through. I remember once, because he used to always refuse to like come into lessons, and secretly I used to love it. I know we shouldn't say that as a teacher. I used to love it. If he didn't come into the lesson, and I'm talking like he'd stand in the corridor and say, I'm not coming in. I'd be like, okay. I'd shut the door. And I'd be like, okay, come in when you're ready. Leave him out there. But now and again, the head would go past. And I remember the head popping his head in once. And he was like, can I borrow your class laptop? And I went, and he was in front of all the kids. I was like, oh, yeah, sure. It's over there. But I thought for a minute, well, why do you want my class laptop? Mad keys missing. Everything.
Oh, gosh.
I thought at first he wanted it. I was thinking, why do you want that? And he said, I've just said to him, if he settles down and he promises to play maths games, he can be on the laptop. Right. And one of the other kids who like was fine, but there was issues now and again. As the head shut the door, right, threw a full pencil pot at the wall and said, I think she called it an effing joke, and then stormed out the room.
A child.
Yeah, and I went, that about? And then my TA said to me, she went, when we'd settled it down, she said, she looked out, sure that she was playing games with him on the laptop, right? And she said, you know what that was about, don't you? And I went, well, I've got no idea what that was about. He said, she just went in her head. He kicks off and gets to play games while I'm in this lesson.
Yeah.
I ain't staying in this lesson.
Boom, get me out.
Yeah. But it was like, that was a situation which, don't get me wrong, could I have asked the TA to watch the class and to start the lesson while I went outside with him and calmed him down and brought him in? And I could have done. But I was very much of the opinion of, this class got 30 kids in.
Yeah.
There's 29 here. I'm not spending 15 minutes with him when I need to teach the rest of the class just because he doesn't want to come into lesson. And it wasn't, people might say, oh, well, he had this, or it wasn't. He was just in a bit of a mood that
Yeah,
day.
needed to
Like you didn't
deregulate.
have anything where it was like, oh, you've got to watch this or you've got to watch that. You just, let's be honest.
Sometimes we just need space, even as people.
Yeah.
As adults.
But with it, to me, I was handling that behaviour best as possible.
Mm-hmm.
All the class were on task. He'd made the choice to stay
Yeah.
outside, and I wasn't making a big issue of it. By an external factor coming in, all of a sudden there's this massive behaviour issue because someone's throwing pencils around the thing. Same thing happened. Kid trashed the class in a different room. He was in year 1. And the biggest mistake that happened, and I said it at the time, but the biggest mistake that happened was this kid trashed the classroom and the head tidied it up.
Oh, yes.
If the kid would have tidied it up, it would not have happened again. Or if they would have made a firm stance and made his parents come in and tidy it up.
Oh, definitely would have happened
It wouldn't
again.
have happened again. But what happened?
It happened again.
And again, and again, and again, and again.
Because it
and
was
again.
like the easiest thing to do, wasn't it?
It was the easiest thing to do at the time, but it wasn't the easiest thing to do because long term it has that drain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing. Like, I know it's on a more positive podcast. No,
But yes.
but it is that thing. If you want your environment to, right, I think you've got to protect it. And I think there has to be those strong things in place with school as well.
Yeah.
And it has to be flagged sometimes of like, this is wrong.
Yeah, because then once you fix it, then that takes away that negative aspect of it, and then it'll improve your day.
Our kids who had behaviour issues knew if they kicked off, they got to sit in the hall with a laptop.
Oh, they know. I would have been like that at school.
No, they did. They knew. So where you might have had 1 in a class, you had 4 because you had 3 were going.
There's a cyber cafe in the corridor.
So it was that thing, and that's the thing I always think with it all. Like sometimes it does have to be stricter things.
Oh my God, you've just reminded me of something about computers. So this would have been 2000, I'm going to say 14 or 15. Dan, we've put a brand new desktop computer in your classroom for the children to use. I was like, oh my goodness, yay. So I get in and I see the keyboard and the tar. This was those days. And then I see what can only be described as a transformer. It was a plank of wood. So the monitor had broken. You know how it was on a stand? Yeah. And it was, so there's a plank of wood. There's 2 bits of metal that's been drilled in, and the 2 bits of metal are holding the screen on. And this plank of wood has been drilled into the table. I was like, what is that? That is a monstrosity. But anyway, one of the little girls in my class come over and they're like, said, so-and-so has broken the computer. And I was like, well, how have they broken the computer? And I go over and the child has folded down the monitor screen. And I said, what did you do? He's like, I thought it was a laptop. And I was like, but because it was on 2 bits of metal, he just folded it right down. But he had to be strong to do that. I didn't even notice that was going on. But I waited till the day I took a picture of it. I need to find that picture. I was like, oh my goodness me. But, school budgets and things, but it's something that we had to make do with. And then one time, same school, there wasn't enough money for us to have colourful ink. And we didn't even have black. We ran out of black. But I don't know how this happened. Everything had to be printed out in red. Everything.
Because that was the only colour.
It was the only colour that there was, or whatever, however a printer works.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone who's listening to this knows. And so we were standing at the photocopier one day, my friends and I printing out all these resources, and I went, this looks like we're printing out murder notes. I was like, it was just chaos. All these red pieces. So we had resources out in the classroom and they're all red. Like sheets for the children, all printed out in red because there wasn't enough money. And that's another one of my favorite memories. And then also, brand new term, and we all needed to use our laptops. The only place where we could get Wi-Fi properly that worked wasn't in the school building.
Where was it?
In the middle of the field.
So
I've got a picture of my colleagues, about 4 of them, standing in a huddle with their laptops in hands in the middle of the school field. I was like, what are you doing out there? It's not working, because that was as they moved towards our building. So there was 2 different parts, Key Stage 2, Key Stage 1 and EYFS. But ours was still working. But that's all they didn't come walking over to our side. That was enough for them.
Yeah.
Standing in the middle of the field, trying to access the Wi-Fi.
I just remember that I had flashbacks then of when I was a student teacher. There was a school I was in. And they had a computer suite, but they had a really good bit of technology in it, where the teachers' computer, you could press on a app to open, and it would show you 30 screens, so you could see what all the kids were doing.
Uh-huh.
And I just remember the teacher I was with, he'd said to me, "Oh, they've got like 15 minutes left. We've done the lesson. I'm just going to let them think. You just float round.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to stay here and watch them." And he goes, "Mr. Malone, can you come here a minute?" And I went over, and he was like, "Look at that. Look at that." And one of the kids, so it was a year 6 class, one of the kids had typed in fat women. and he was looking at the pictures, right? But they weren't in it wasn't rude pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But he was watching them all. But I went, "What's he doing?" And he went, "I don't," he went to me, "I don't know."
Mm-hmm.
But he said, I remember him saying, he went to me, "What's creeping me out is he's not making a spectacle. He's not gone everyone look at this. He's been sitting there for 5 minutes, just scrolling through the pictures." Right. I always remember it because he was just I just remember doing it, and he just went "Kids are so odd."
What is that? You just reminded me of another thing. So I was in year 2 earlier this year, and we got the iPads in for a treat, and this little girl came up to me, "Mr. Max, so-and-so's typed a swear word on their iPad." And I was like, "You have, let me check." And I looked, and the screen was blank, and I went, "Did you do it?" And he went, "No." I went, "Let's just check this out, shall we?" So I hit undo.
Yeah.
Undo. Oh, yeah, undo. And then H letter come up, F, U. And I was like, "Look what you have done." He was like, "How did you do that, you magician?" And I was like, he's like, "Don't lie to me again."
We had it once where it was on the iPads, the filters didn't work. So someone typed in lesbians, and it brought up everything.
And these are the early days, as this is 5-10 years ago. Oh no.
But the kids who done it had done it and not told anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But so it was 2 kids together. One had done it.
Mm-hmm.
One had been a bit shocked by it, but didn't rat them out. But went home and told his mum. I just remember it now. Told his mum. She went into the head and told the head. And the head said, "Can't happen.
Mm-hmm.
It can't happen. We've got filters on it, all honestly. Let me get an iPad and show you." So she got an iPad and showed everything.
In front of the parents.
Yeah, because he was showing the parents, "Look.
We've got filters, we paid for them.
I think he just went to her "Oh."
But did the parent find it funny?
Yeah, she found it funny. She was a bit "Yeah, fair enough." I think just how confident he was with "Let me show you that this doesn't work." He was we'll get this sorted."
Oh my goodness me. You just reminded me of another funny thing. It's not to do with Phil. A parent brought in a book bag to me at the end of the school day. "Mr. Mac, I'm not happy about the state of my child's book bag." And she had a bit of a smile on her face. And I was like, "What's wrong?" And she went, "Look inside." I was like, "What am I going to see when I look in here?" And she went, "You look." I opened the book bag and the child had pooed, and they're taking it to the toilet, pooed in it. And I was like, "Why did you do that?" And I said, "Why did you do that?" He goes, "I like the shape of it." I was like, "But what did you do?" And he went, "Oh, I fished it out of the toilet and put it in my book bag." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm mortified." I was like,
"Did it not smell?"
I mustn't have a good sense of smell. But I just was like, I just thought that was just early years. Because the toilets are in the classroom at the back. And I'm like, "Okay, everyone, go home." But I just we both of us found it, we found it not hilarious, but I was like, I'll never forget the day Mum brought in a bit of poo in a book bag.
Do you know what though? That's a mental story, but at the same time, it's a bit unhinged that she brought, was she in the playground, saw it?
Yeah, so she
hasn't got home.
She got two feet away from the classroom.
I was going to say, she hasn't got home and been the next morning, "Look at this."
Yes, look at this. Oh, she kept it in there. It's dry. It's changed colour. But she had this look on her face as if to say, "You're going to find this absolutely hilarious." But I just was like, oh my goodness me, the stuff that happens.
It's mad with some of those. And I think that's what is enjoyable about teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's just madness.
It's chaos.
There's so many things that just happen, which wouldn't happen in a normal job. And that's what makes it great.
No.
But it's that paperwork, that bureaucracy that kills it. But there's so much just like funny stuff that happens.
Have you ever like absolutely laughed in hysterics with your class?
I have, but like most of the stuff was probably where like I shouldn't have been laughing.
I've laughed that much. I've had to leave the room.
Yeah.
Because so we were doing auditions for the school talent show, but we did it properly. I thought, let's get them all in the hall. It'll fill an afternoon. So the children, we sent a letter out to parents. You can do what you like, blah, blah, blah. This little girl came in and said that she does gymnastics. She goes to gymnastics, and she came in. She just ran and threw herself onto the mat and face planted on the floor. And I was like, oh, no. And I just couldn't believe it. But I had to leave the hall because she just ran, threw herself forward, arms by her side, like she was about to fly, and just hit the floor. And I was like, oh my God, that is chaos. And then we were doing it wasn't our Christmas show. Do you know, I don't know if they do it as much these days, that they say like the Key Stage 2 Christmas show, there'll be jokes in there for the parents.
Yeah.
Okay. And I will never forget sitting one time, the whole school gets invited to watch, it's Christmas time. And this is why I should never have sat beside my best friend I work with, because we'd find anything funny anyway. And it's Santa's just come back, and he's like, what have you been? No. Santa's friend or something. And Alfred's just come in and speaking to Santa's wife. It's like, where have you been all day? She's been really busy. And then holds up this thing. I've been trying to get the wrinkles out of Santa's sack all afternoon. And I couldn't breathe. We were both in absolute hysterics to the point where I was drenched in sweat. But all the teachers are laughing. And the children are all looking at us. Like, what are they laughing at? And I was like, how did they get away with putting that in there? This would be about 10, 15 years ago.
It's mad. It's funny. I've just remembered loads of flashbacks, but don't know why, like, all the stories involve like poo. But I remember one which makes me laugh is one of my mates, like who I went to uni with. They told me about, they were like 2 or 3 years in, and in their class, someone had gone to the toilet and like got the poo out and wrote on the wall, right? But they wrote like, I can't remember the name, but they wrote, Charlie did this, right? But they spelt Charlie wrong, and they were trying to get another kid in trouble. But the kid, the kid they said who it was like one would never have done that, but 2 would have wasn't, even if he did do it, he was intelligent enough, 1, to spell his name right, but also not to write his own name.
Charlie did
but this. But what they did, they were like, how can we catch who's done this?
Oh no.
So they asked them all. They said, right, we're going to do like a little bit of a spelling test, but with a little bit of a difference.
Oh no.
So we're going to say some sentences to you, and then we're going to get you to write the full sentence. So they got them all, and then just subtly made sure that one of the words they had to spell was Charlie. And they got all of them out, and there was only one kid that spelled it wrong, and he spelled it exactly like the poo on the wall. They went in, they got him, and we're like, you've done this.
I love how long this is played out. You've thought about it. Everyone's in writing that. I would have been in anticipation to see who it was.
Well, we've had loads of that.
It's a volunteer at the back.
few poos in the urinals while I was at school.
Oh, God.
And I was the only male teacher, and the caretaker, he used to be out from like 8:30 till 3. So he wouldn't really work during the day, but he'd do the morning and then the afternoon. So I had to go and check. I was like, yeah. And they were like, what are you going to do? I was like, I'm going to clean it. But yeah, poo in the urinal. Loads of stuff. Considering I worked in like upper Key Stage,
That sounds worse than what happened.
There was a lot of There was loads of it.
I've only had poo in the book bag. I've not had. Well, it's been poo on the floor everywhere. But
Yeah,
that happens anyway.
down there,
on the toilet seat. I'm just like, oh my goodness, what is happening in my day? Or they're in the hall for assembly and they stand up. All the children are like, what's happening? And there's pee everywhere. And like 4 different classes have been soaked in pee. And I'm like, oh no. Oh my goodness.
There's loads. But that's what. Obviously, it's not poo and wee that makes teaching like great. But like there is loads of that. There's a load
Why
of different
is that not
stories.
in the teaching adverts?
Someone just covers in it.
Get into teaching. It'll make your...
Do you know what though? Those teaching adverts annoy the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Just like how superficial they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it needs to show someone sitting.
It's not,
coming in at the end of the day, slowly opening the drawer and getting out skinny wet and go, what went on today?
But it's always just the madness of it. I can't stand the podcast ones. Like, obviously people listen to this, probably listen to other podcasts. Mm-hmm. There's always one that's got like an advert for teaching. They're always nonsense. Like, there's never any thought put into them. And there is a little bit of me which thinks like, when you see these adverts on TV or on the buses or trains, or you listen to them on podcasts or radio, wherever, that is money that has been spent by the government instead of on funding schools. Mm-hmm. I know probably it's not going to be that much more of a budget, but you could maybe have one extra glue stick or something instead of an advert which isn't convincing anyone who's seen an advert and gone, oh yeah, I haven't thought about teaching. Like the people who want to get into teaching have gone through school thinking, I think I could be a good teacher. And then they've done it and they've gone to it and they've enjoyed it. Not like sitting there going,
I've seen that advert.
Oh, I've not thought about that. Do you know what I mean? Like it is mad. And I think there is great parts of teaching. There's loads of bad bits, but there's loads of good bits as well. And it's just having fun. That's part of it, isn't it?
Good time.
There's loads of schools now which probably don't have it because they don't have fun. Well, there is, isn't it? How many schools are miserable?
Oh, loads. I've been in some, and I'm like, oh my goodness me. Like there was a cleaner one time who came in at the end of the day, and I'd been there for a week. So you back next week, and she was like, no, I'm not sure. I came in 5 minutes early. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because I liked you singing with your class at the end of the day. And I was like, oh, well, I'm sorry, I'm taking my phone with me when I go.
It's all that, isn't it? Like, I was thinking big warning sign. If you're in school that doesn't allow supply or trainee teachers in your staff room, that's a bad school. Like, I'll be crowded. So, like, that's weird.
My last school, the staff room was full of people. Everyone in there. And like I remember my first school, we used to do Pictionary on a Friday. I would get in a board and we'd all take turns. We used to do Secret Santa. Now, you would not be able to do what we did back in the day. It was always filth. And I remember being like, some of the things that were bought, and I was like, we need to get that out of here now. Yeah.
There's loads of it though, is it? Like, I remember the school I used to work in, one of the things I liked, which I think was a good idea, all the student teachers were allowed in the staff room. But we did have, we had about 6 or 7 of them. Because it was, I don't know whether they're still doing it now, but it was that weird one where like they were pairing them up. So you'd have 2 in each class.
Okay.
You'd have 2 students, and it was meant to be that thing of like one would watch and observe and learn the practice while the other one was singing. All that, rather than just like get in and help. Because that's how you learn.
You've just reminded me on a student teacher experience. I was sent to watch a student teacher. I was an SLT. Dan, we're all busy today. Would you mind going and watching the student teacher? So I went in. I had not met this person before, ever in my life, this woman. And I went, oh, hey, I'm Mr. Mike. I'm down on the other end of school. It's Key Stage 2. But the class, it was like year 4 or something. But I had taught that class before. They're my old class. I'm like, hey, everybody. And then you walk in like royally. It is I. Anyway, I sit down. And the woman's preparing herself. And then it happened. And I thought, this can't be real. She's like, okay, I'm going to do it. She's like, this is what we're doing today. And I was like, and like the children were like wincing. And then this little boy turns around to me, here she goes again. And I was like, but he was laughing, I was laughing. I was like, I thought that I was being set up. I was like, this can't be real. She's like, funny. And I was like, but that continued for 45 minutes. And I was like, I had to leave. I came back in again once I composed myself. But I was like, oh my goodness me. And then we were interviewing one time someone to replace me when I left my first school. And this woman tripped over 2 children, fell on her front and went, Jesus Christ, would you move to the child? And I was like, I couldn't wait to
Didn't get the job then.
No, but me and my head teacher were laughing at each other. I mean, looking at each other, I was like, get me out of here.
When I was a student teacher in one of my placements, there was a few of us. And 2 of us were down in year 1. So 2 of us were down in year 1. And then there was another 2 up in year 4. And one of the ones from year 4 come down to us at lunch and was like, you won't believe what's just happened. And we were like, why, what's happened? So the other student teacher, she wasn't doing that well. She wasn't getting on with the teacher.
Yeah.
And the lesson she was doing wasn't going the best. So we think she pretended, but she fainted during the lesson. And just apparently, the other girl who was the other student teacher said, she heard commotion and their teacher was like, just go and check that everything's all right. And she went in, and this other one was face planted on the floor, pretending to be unconscious to get out of this lesson observation because it was going so bad.
Oh my goodness me.
But yeah.
I've never done anything that bad to get a lesson observation.
But just when you're saying about the one falling over, I just remember having flashbacks to going down going, you won't believe what she's done up there.
ECTs, if you're listening, tip. If you think it's not going to plan, faint. Faint on a good bit of the classroom, you're not going to hit a desk.
But yeah.
Oh God.
But it is mad. But that's where schools are so different and unique in it. You wouldn't get that in any other job, would you? You wouldn't have someone's got to do a meeting to the rest of the team, so just pretends to faint. You shouldn't have people in an office pooing in a bag. No. Or just looking up weird pictures.
Oh my goodness me. But that's what makes it fun, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And that's what I think is a good one. Teaching is a good one. If anyone's got any good stories for us,
I would love to hear them.
Send them in. I was like that on the Lee and Adam's podcast. 2Ps. They'll always have mad stories. Some of their ones are wild that get sent in. But is that one? Have you got any? Send them to us.
I would love to. And if they do, if you send it to me or send it to him, I will not show you at first. I'll just read it out so you can just see. Oh my goodness me, I'm sweating from laughing.
Well, that was probably a good place for us to wrap it up. Been a good one, been a fun one.
Fun one. We both got a bit red.
Yeah.
In a fun way.
But now, if you're listening, send us in some of your funny stories.
Absolutely.
There's loads. There's some which I'll probably say after this time, which I can't tell you.
Yes.
But now, 5 stars. And make sure you leave some comments, send us some stories, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye now.